Hey everybody, it's Jeremy. Welcome back to EA Tetragrammaton, where we are playing This is turn 75. Big turn for us. Fingers crossed. Let's see how it goes. Okay, so right off the bat, we have cast Summon Kusarikus, we have cast Lichcraft, and immediately afterwards, Leprosy, the Mound Fiend, was attacked by a Horror. Alright, let's see how it goes. Okay, it's a horror, so it's a real boy, big boy, scary boy. Well, that's less than perfect. We got no guards, and this is partially my own, right? What I tried to do is my own fault. I tried to stack Leprosy with Mushushus, in the hopes that, right, Mushushus don't have bodyguard, but a Mushushu is stronger than an Inky's Chosen or a Kusariku. So the hope was that rather than getting several Inky's Chosen or Kusarikus to actually show up, we would get fewer Mushushus, but we would only need, 2 or 3 Mushushus to do the job. Instead, we got none to show up. And this is another scenario of just, like, fucking bad luck, right? Like, we're doing a lot of ritual casting and forging every single turn. And over and over and over again, the most important things that we do, or some of the most important people that we have, get targeted. And it's just like, fuck me. I hate astral corruption. I hate it. I hate it. Alright, Leprosy the Mound Fiend. Good luck, my friend. Oh. Yeah, just blink behind us. Oh, yeah, okay. There goes a Ring of Sorcery. Ow. Ow, I say. Also, Isham 8 cast Transformation, and again, we're getting pretty bad ratios on that as well on our transformations. So that's kind of bad. We transform into a Great Line, and we are attacked by Belly Mauls and die. And then our god gets attacked too, right? So our god does cast Awakened Tree Lord, and we get attacked. Like, this is by Soul Torn, which are fortunately, far squishier, easier to kill, though they have high regeneration. And we do have a nice little force of defenders, right? But they're still relatively killy, They come in, they're regenerating, and they're also still fear. So they actually fucking rout my people. Are you kidding me? They actually rout my bodyguards. There's 4 of them left, and my bodyguards are doing fine. By the way, none of my bodyguards are close to death. They just failed a fear check, and that one dies because he gets surrounded by 4 of them. So my bodyguards flee. Now it's up to my god. And my god, 293 health, freaking 30 protection, pretty stacked, super high strength. Every time he swings, he's killing a bitch, right? He's got this. He's not going to die. He's definitely not going to die. But he is going to take hits. I think he actually only takes 1. And, of course, maybe he takes 2? No, he only took 1 hit. And that hit horror marked him. Of course it horror marked him. Fuck me. Just fucking. Okay, whatever. He lives fine. We get another Kusariku off. We get some more Blood Slaves. Fantastic. Udu 25, he was forging something. He gets attacked by 3 Brass Claw Horrors. He is not protected, so he is definitely going to die. And then we have a series of battles. So we attack in Dopharos. And this is Ishib 23. Unfortunately, Ishib 23 is actually up against a not insignificant force. Really, there's only... The only thing that matters here... So he gets off Liquid Body. He gets off Moss Body. Okay? The only thing that matters here is the fact that there's a lot of Minotaurs. And these Minotaurs have very low attack skill, right? But they hit really hard. So, he comes in and he's killing things left and right. That's all good. That's great. That's fantastic. But the problem is he just has to get hit once or twice for things to go south. Boom, got hit for 9 damage. Right? Okay, we're still okay. We're still okay. That's fine. Right? We can regen that back. We're okay. 1 damage. Ah, that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. Oh. Oh. He just got hit for 11 and 5. So his HP plummets. And of course, his HP plummets. His HP plummeting causes him to morale break. So this is probably one of the biggest things about the Ishibs. They need... Oh, he also had his shield destroyed because these guys hit so hard. They need an AoE weapon in order to clear. But because you can't put something like a Flesh Eater because they also need a shield, this is why they're just passable thugs, right? They're not great. They're just passable. Although, like, at the end of the day, running into a bunch of Minotaurs... I say running into a bunch of Minotaurs. I purposefully attacked them. I was hoping they were going to move. But they didn't, so we lost Ishib 1. We did kill a fair little chunk. He did some work, but Ishib 1 has fallen. I think we only have one more Ishib that was a part of, like, our original trio, or maybe not. We might have just... That might have been the last one that had survived up until this point. So I think our little Ishib thugs might be gone. Unfortunate. We have a battle in Kailasa, where we move on to the capital with our smaller secondary force. There's not much here, so it should not be a big deal. Yeah, we move forward, smash them. Okay, and then we have a battle in Carrion, where we are attacked and then we attack. So they sally out, apparently, with a, I don't know, a marginal force, what they've got. So we annihilate them. With extreme prejudice. Because they had enough to trigger gem use, so that means they get the hard end of the stick, basically. Oh my goodness. But that does mean that the battle within Carrion means we do not have all the gems that we just had. Fortunately, there still isn't really that much going on. So we should probably be okay. Still storm power, still have enough for storm, which means we can still Thunderstrike spam. Oh my goodness. Thunderstrike spam, honestly, is one of the craziest things in the game. It legitimately is. Like, it deletes entire sections of people. Like, when you have, like, it's one thing if you have, like, 1 or 2 people Thunderstriking, but once you start to get to, like, 8 to 10 people Thunderstriking, it will delete entire sections of your enemy, and it's really crazy. So we actually did have some losses in this fight. We lost a single Urguard and we lost a Gala. I'm not sure who got the kills, right? It's possible that a Harpy fell on the Gala, but who knows? We'll see. We've got a couple of unexpected events. In Kun Aral, a barbarian horde has attacked, lost a bunch of population. In Thorn Woods, we gained some unrest as brigands have attacked. And in Fever Fens, we gained some air gems. Nice. And in Simri, we gained a bunch of different gems. This is pretty good. This was 13 gems. That's very nice. So 2 more battles, one in Thorn Woods. This is all the brigands attacking, and this is actually bad news for us. We were spending money in this province with recruitment of Enkidu Shaman, and there's really not a whole lot going on here yet, unfortunately. So they are not going to be able to defend themselves. So, oops. And the rout happens, and done. So 20 villains have taken the province. And then in Kun Aral, we have basically the exact opposite. We have a bunch of barbarians come in, but this is a 20 province defense province. So, and it's firmly in our heartland. So these guys have very high HP because of Gift of Health. So they're going to come in and basically kick the shit out of these barbarians. Very nice. Construction of palisades in Verdant Steppe is complete. Wonderful. We've broken through the fortifications in Kailasa. We're under siege in Perina, but we're actually going to fix that this turn. We've started to destroy the fort in Monarch Wards. It's critically damaged, so maybe 1 or 2 more turns. Did some patrolling, and Scout 7 has died from disease. And I realize Gift of Health doesn't cure diseases, so I'm actually looking into some options for that. Unfortunately, again, because of astral corruption, I have to be very careful about who does what. So we've gotta be cautious about forging some stuff, but we're probably gonna make like an elixir. What is that? What are they called? I'll redo anyone's stuff. Yeah, miraculous cure-all elixir. So we'll probably end up making one of these because we got the gems for it. But I don't want to. I have to be careful on who I make it on, right? So I'm probably going to end up making it on my god, because my guys, that's okay. It's not great, but it's okay. Actually, I really don't want my god to die. Fucking astral corruption and horror marks. Very unhappy about it. Very unhappy about it. What are we doing this turn? We're doing a little bit. This is kind of we've hit the majority of the big spots for Pan. So this one is, we're kind of just cleaning up at this point. But we've got some big things on the market. So we have another Ishib that's going out. Hopefully we'll take Whispering Waste for us. Isham 1 is hitting Dopharos. I need to actually change this guy's name. Realized that he is Isham 9, not Isham 8. I've been doing a good job of maintaining my list. So Ishib 34 is attacking into Whispering Waste. Isham 1 is attacking into Dopharos. I think he'll have a much better time versus Minotaurs. So I'm not super worried, but it's possible that we could lose Isham 1 as well. We'll see. We are storming the castle in Kailasa. which should be pretty good. Very excited to get our potentially fourth capital. No, not potentially. Yeah, it would be our fourth capital. That's pretty exciting. But I am a little concerned that we're kind of painting a target on our backs at this point. At this point, we'll talk about this more at the end of the video. We'll talk about kind of like the board state of the game. So we're attacking into Kailasa. We are just moving elders around for coverage. We are going to try to get something up in Silverfangs. We'll see how it goes. We're preaching over in Belagor. We probably won't preach for very long. Just want to try to knock out these candles and get our Dominion moving over here. We are moving NC6, just NC6, up to Pangea with the intention of hitting into Wick Forest and then maybe into Delufe and Andoria, something like that. And we are moving NC4 down into Resting Heights, along with basically the entire contingent of Astral Mages, basically our entire communion. Why are we doing this? This is kind of a risky play. This is a very risky play. Especially since I'm not really fully committing to it, right? We're moving down into Resting Heights because it's Pan's AI Pan's land, right? We're just trying to crush the remaining vestiges of AI Pan. But also because Belphegor is right here in 72. So I want to say Belphegor was in 74 or 84 last turn. We witnessed a battle with them, and then in this turn, I believe they moved into 72. It makes sense if Mictlan is spreading out and trying to gobble up this territory. It makes sense for Belphegor to drop into Resting Heights. And I might end up changing this. I might end up changing how much I dedicate to Resting Heights. But the goal, generally speaking, the goal is that we are sending a army there, and then we're sending a communion in to soul slay the shit out of Belphegor if he shows up. Because realistically speaking, I don't think there's, like, if I'm remembering his gear correctly, his magic resistance was only at like 18 or so. So we have a pretty good chance of actually getting the Soul Slay on him. The issue is whether or not he gets something like Phoenix Pyre up. I think if you have Phoenix Pyre on and then you Soul Slay, then you'll actually trigger the Phoenix Pyre, but I'm not 100% sure. Regardless, we have like an 8-stack communion that will be path boosting everyone, what, three paths at that point. All of our masters will be able to Soul Slay. We're not even really doing a whole lot of our buffs. We're not doing like Fog Warriors or anything like that because it probably won't do anything. The only buff I think we're putting up is mass regeneration to help make sure that people are regenerating through things. And this is what I'm saying with the concept of like we might slightly alter what all comes in. I might have a look at the previous turn and see how his lightning resistance is, and if he doesn't have a whole lot of lightning resistance, we might also throw in a natural storm or a storm and then bring in some air gudus to thunderstrike him as well. Basically what we want to do is we want to take Resting Heights, but we want to bring a force that if we bump with Belphegor, we kill him. Is the generalized goal, right? He's not kitted out incredibly well, and I think doing that type of thing, because right, a demon lord is 150 blood slaves, right? So, you know, losing a demon lord is not not unpainful. I guess, I don't know. Miquelin's probably getting about 150 or more blood slaves a turn, so it's probably not that painful. But he's also probably using a lot of those blood slaves every turn, right? That's the thing is you can get your economies to be utilizing a copious amount of blood slaves, yes, but that's because you need to create a copious amount of blood slaves, but you need to use a copious amount of blood slaves. The shit's expensive, right? So that's the upside. So we may or may not alter this slightly, but we're gonna hit resting heights and potentially kill a demon lord. We'll see. As far else as other things moving around, we are attacking into Perenna. Also doing a very simple scenario there. We're sending an NC7 with a small line of spearmen. We've got some Yetis. We've actually got Pegasus riders that are going to do a hold and attack rear. And we are bringing in, again, a communion. And this communion is a little smaller. I think it's got... I think we're only doing like 6 people. We're doing 4 masters. And we're soul slaying again. This is just to help soften up, kill some of the centaur warriors, the white centaurs, maybe the commanders, etc. I do expect some losses because we're not really dedicating a large force to fighting in Perenna, but at the same time, they have no god. These white centaurs are not going to be buffed. They're still strong, they're still dangerous, but we should be okay. And then the remnants of this force, right, whatever's left over, we're going to use Perenna as our mustering ground and probably very shortly head towards Jabal Kish, which is another reason why in Trackless Waste we are continuing to recruit. Primarily right now, we've got a bunch of Ishibs over here, so I'm trying to recruit more Gudus and Enkidu Spearmen. We lost Thornwood, so we're pulling back with 2 Elders to Agartha. We're going to need to figure out a way to take that from those villains. Shouldn't be a big deal. We can probably send a thug to do the work. Unfortunately, I don't have any Ishibs that are nature, and I would prefer to use nature Ishibs as thugs. You can use the earth ones, I suppose. They're still good. But Moss Body, I think, is probably one of the things that makes the whole Ishib thug thing work. So, we are doing a shit ton of infrastructure this turn. We are making a walled city in the Verdant Steppe. We are making a walled city in Kun Aral. We are producing a temple in Carrion. We're actually doing a whole bunch of fortifications, of infrastructure, etc. We are continuing to recruit in our capital. And we're recruiting a couple things here or there throughout the empire. But the main big things that are happening now, aside from all the infrastructure and from the slight movements and the hopefully catching a demon lord, and finally knocking the shit out of the AI off of one of our forts, is what we're doing with our cap mages, right? We continue to forge a rings of warning because I think those are valuable. We have committed to the concept that Enchantress 2 is now expendable, and she is going to forge lightless lanterns for us. We've kind of committed to the concept that fire gems are a bust because we still need a ring of sorcery. So we are committing with Nazar II to make another ring of sorcery. And we're gonna have to I might end up like pulling gear from other people onto Leper Love. So Leper Love is our lich, and since the timeline, the way this worked out, since we cannot cast Well of, because the concept was to cast Well of Misery this turn, right? Was to do the lich shows up, we take this Ring of Sorcery, and we take the Skull Staff. Boom, he's 6. We cast Well of Misery. Since we cannot do that because we have lost the Ring of Sorcery, we have taken the Skull Staff from Hollow, so we still have a Skull Staff. He's going to empower, and he will be, regardless, he will be Death 6 next turn. And then with the Ring of Sorcery, he will be Death 7. So we'll get a little boost onto our Well of Misery when we cast it next turn. And then the turn after, we will have already done... Because remember, the original timeline, we were going to cast Well of Misery, and then we were going to do a Skull Cap or Empower. And we could potentially, depending on who we still had left, we could make that Skull Cap with someone else, maybe, but unlikely, right? So this extra turn was always going to happen. It was just a matter of whether this extra turn was going to happen before Well of Misery or after Well of Misery. Now, because we've lost the Ring of Sorcery, it's happening before. So what that means is instead of Well of Misery, turn to Empower or make a Skull Cap and then Tarts, we're doing Empower, Well of Misery, Tarts. So still the same timeline, just slightly altered in order. So that's what's happening there, and that's a big deal, but we keep running into these situations. It's very frustrating. We keep running into these situations. At the end of the day, right, this is why we're doing a Lich instead of just doing this on one of our Mound Fiends, as the plan originally was. Once Well of Misery goes up, even after the Lich dies, it should remain up. The only issue being is well, we don't just want to put up Well of Misery, right? The purpose, the point of putting up Well of Misery is to utilize the shit out of those death gems. So we need to get this Lich in a... We need to protect the shit out of this Lich, basically. So in the next couple turns, we're going to be looking at options to basically stack the shit out of this Lich, item-wise. Because we want this guy, he's gonna have to have the Skull Staff, at least for now. We might swap the Skull Staff to a Skull Cap, right? So that he could use his 2 head slots. But we're gonna look into potentially putting some really good gear on him, just for the concept of defending him, because yeah, if he dies, he's the Well of Misery should stay up, right? And he'll come back. But every time he dies, that's lost gear, right? Every time he dies, that's a turn we're not producing Tartarians. So we want to stack him and make it to where he is kind of able to do whatever the fuck he wants. But to do that, we're probably going to lose some people. So that is something that I actually have not done this turn yet. I haven't quite figured out what strides I want to make towards producing very, very defensive, protective gear for the Lich. And then, of course, we're probably also going to... we'll probably utilize a Ring of Warning. Unless we feel like... Alternatively, it's going to be better to just make him... if that miscellaneous slot is required to keep him from dying. Pretty much. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, I think that's about it. Not really much else happening this turn. Continuing the production of Kusarikus, we have now reached the point, right? Each summon of Kusarikus is 6 gems. So we're actually to the point to where we could start doing a third summon and still gain Earth Gems every turn, and that's fantastic. This is actually where we wanted to be far earlier on in the game. It just took us conquering 2 and 3.5 empires in order to do that. And that actually brings us to the final thing that we want to talk about. We've definitely hit the point of late game. There is Lanka, Mictlan, Relay, Hinam, us. Right? Those are the final 5 players in the game. Relay has not really been doing terribly much, right? So I'm not sure, and I say that not just as a matter of like, I'm not trying to like, brush them off or insinuate that they are not dangerous, but they haven't been successful in really getting on land. They had a couple clashes with Lanka. I don't know if they have any big plans. The player has been hit or miss on some of their turns. So I don't know how in it to win it they are. I'm not trying to write them off. I'm just not sure what really their plans or goals are going to be. Lanka, Mictlan, and Hinam all have access to powerful blood at the end of the game, which is kind of kicking my ass, right? And I have made myself a big target. I think we now need to move into a defensive posture. We need to get our infrastructure up. We need to really actually start pushing our dominion to the point to where I might start preaching in certain scenarios. I might actually go back after this turn and with some of my Ishibs start preaching, because Ishibs are priest 2, right? And use that to help push my dominion into my new lands. If we can get our dominion up and have our gift of health really be held, this is a secondary scenario, but have our gift of health really hold out, we can play a very defensive game where it's going to be pretty challenging for people to do certain things to us on an individual level. If 2 of these big blood nations come at me, if Mictlan and Hinam or Lanka come at me, all together, we're fucked. Like we're so screwed. There's very little that we can do. But as we move into the era of tarts, a secondary thing that we want to do is, right, we're gonna have tarts, and those are gonna open up options for us. Fingers fucking crossed, right? But also what we want to try to do is we want to start building, really finishing off the building concepts of our big armies, like the one in Carrion, right? This army is incredibly threatening. The communion and what it brings to the table is a really big deal. We do need to finish off a couple of the different parts of this army. We need to make sure that we have fire resistance. That's a very big deal. We currently do not, and that's a problem. We need to get an Ishib into and start forging coral weapons, right? Again, because coral blades are going to be useful in boosting low communion mages HP so that they can resist things like not fires from afar, flamestorm, no, flames from the sky, and even then, right, it's not a guarantee. So we're gonna look into things like that. I want to there's some low level fire resistance gear that I want to start mass producing as well. So the biggest 2 that I have to worry about there being Mictlan and Hinam that have access to fire, right? So we want to equip those, get people resistant to fire, and get them able to not have to worry about being deleted there. generally speaking, our troops are okay with that because they have much higher HP. Even outside of our dominion, right? They have much higher HP. But we're very reliant on like crystal sorceresses and lizard shamans for our communions, so we need to get those buffed up. Okay. And then we're gonna start consolidating, fighting defensively. We want to get our mitts on Silver Fangs, and we want to get our mitts on Javal Kish. But at that point, we're still only at 4, right? So we're going to need to boost up our military might into a couple of basically strike forces is what we're going to be looking for, right? Armies that are able to penetrate deep into enemy territory. Not that deep in certain scenarios, like White Forest or Realm of Silence is not that deep, right? Sleepy Wolds is not that deep. Silver Grove is not that deep, right? But we need to figure out what those targets are, start planning accordingly, and then we're gonna have to set a time and strike. Tentatively turn 100, maybe. This is gonna be a long game. Either one of these blood powers is going to explode and just destroy this game very shortly, or these 2 to 3 of these players are going to turn on me and destroy me very shortly, or this is going to draw out to be an incredibly long game. So fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. Also, Femoria continues to live. No one wants to fight the big fight on Femoria. So fingers crossed, we're gonna see how that goes eventually. I hope we actually can see it. So I don't know. Anyways, that's gonna be it for the turn. Thanks for watching. I will see you all next time. Bye everybody.